We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly with Coach Sark from here at Plucker's, the West Campus location in Austin, presented by the Texas Lottery. Our special guest, College Football Hall of Famer, lifetime Longhorn linebacker, Derrick Johnson. Okay, you returned to school after your NFL career to finish your degree. You graduated a degree in the College of Education and Applied Learning and Development, and you've always been very, very active in the community. And because of your mother, Beverly, a lifelong educator, reading initiatives and programs have always been important to you, I know, and you launched your first Austin outreach program last year, Defend the Dream Foundation, working with the Austin Ed Fund to update the library at Oak Springs Elementary School. I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've always this is my upbringing. At the end of the day, I was raised. My mom was a school teacher for over 40 years, so that's the background that I have. And knowing that education is super, super important, especially for young kids, inner city kids. So my foundation, Defend the Dream Foundation, caters to inner city kids through education. So we go in Title I elementary schools and we've revamped their library, which is the heart of the school. Nice paint on the wall, functional furniture, fat heads here and there, quotes on the wall, and the biggest purchase are the age-appropriate books that we provide for these kids, because education is the key. It doesn't matter what they want to be in life. Education has to be a part of it, regardless. If you want to be a football player, you have to have your schooling right. That's why it's student athlete first. So being able to have that influence, sometimes the things I say mean more than appearance in some areas in the city. So having that influence, I have to use it for good. So
well, and toward that end, the foundation is investing nearly $50,000 into the school library by installing the multifunctional space for the students to read and learn. And that's something you've talked about with your players as well, Sark, about it's got to be beyond football. There's life beyond football, and there's an impact that guys can have beyond the game.
Well, I think the reality of it is, first of all, now more than ever, our players have a tremendous platform. And that platform is not only building their own brand, but how are they impacting others? And if they're going about their business the right way, man, the doors that can open for you, the connections that you can make, the power of a degree from the University of Texas, Absolutely. What that can do for these guys, and then the inspiration they can provide others to want to go achieve that. On the other side of that, too, is how many years was it? 14 years?
14 years in the NFL.
14 years in the NFL. 30, when did you retire? How old were you?
36.
36 years old. Now what do all these guys get to go do? And what are they doing with that education and that opportunity that they have? And whether it's 15 years, 14 years, whether it's 3 years, 5 years, whether it's no years in the NFL, because the odds are they're probably not. NFL, not for last, right? So the opportunity our guys get here at the University of Texas, man, doing something, not just getting the degree, but doing something with it, and the opportunities and the connections that they make here are enormous.
You sure you don't want to hop on the charter and suit up on
Oh, man,
Saturday?
if I could. I'm a little smaller now, so they may.
Derrick Johnson, everybody, joining us here. Sark and I'll be back. We'll take a look at Alabama. We'll wrap up this week's edition of Longhorn Weekly, presented by Bud Light, proud sponsor of Texas Athletics. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Longhorn Weekly continues in a moment. And they'll send Elon Robinson in motion left, rolling left. Ewer swings it back to the right, called by Brooks. Through a slot, 35-30. Jonathan to the 20. Say goodnight to it. In for the touchdown, Jonathan Brooks. Back the opposite way, little backside screen, and it rolls for 37 yards. And the first Texas Longhorn touchdown of 2023. We welcome you back to Longhorn Weekly with Coach Sark from here at Plucker's, the West Campus location here in Austin, presented by the Texas Lottery. How about a nice welcome for College Football Hall of Famer, lifetime Longhorn Derrick Johnson with us here tonight.
Thank you.
How are you, DJ?
I'm doing well. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I woke up this morning stretching. I'm like, what am I stretching for?
Well,
we could use you. Give me a couple plays.
This is why, as Sark says, I could use him. Just indulge me here while I read this off. Of course, DJ played at Texas from 2001 to 2004. Just recently elected to the College Football Hall of Fame. He's in the Texas Athletics Hall of Honor, the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame for his time with the Chiefs, the Texas Football Hall of Fame, 2004 Nagurski Trophy, Butkus Award winner, 2-time consensus first-team All-American, 3-time first-team All-Big 12, 2004 Big 12 Male Athlete of the Year. He helped lead the Longhorns to 3 11-win seasons, had double-digit victories in all 4 years with the Longhorns as well. 50 career games, 40 of those as a starter, 458 career tackles, number 3 on the UT career list, 280 solo tackles. That's number 4 on the all-time list. By the way, 11 forced fumbles, number 3 on the list, 9 interceptions, number 1 by a Texas linebacker, and in 18 career games against top 25 opponents, he posted 175 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 31 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, 9 passes broken up, 19 pressures, 3 calls fumbles, a fumble recovery, 14 years in the NFL, 13 with the Kansas City Chiefs, a 4-time Pro Bowl pick, the Chiefs' leading tackler, and then we didn't even get into your personal life. That's just the playing stuff. That's an amazing run, and when folks rattle off those numbers to you, or when you look at those numbers, or when you're made aware of those numbers, what does it bring back for you?
A lot of hard work. When you look at that, when you're reading that off, everything that came back to my memory is everything I did on a daily basis to make that happen. A lot of times we have goals and we have big dreams or whatever, but sometimes we forget the things we have to do to make that happen. Those are the little mini victories that you have to win every single day. You have to commit, and just blessed. And when you was reading it off, man, that's a blessing, and I'm glad I did it here at the University of Texas.
And Sark, those are the kinds of, not just the numbers, but what he was talking about, the effort that you strive to get out of your guys on a daily basis.
Without question. You know, it's been great. We've had DJ around here a little bit. I want to hear kind of his thought about that. He's been around the team here for a few months now. What I'm always intrigued about when you hear all that, and you think about your time here at the University of Texas, what's the first memory or two that pop in your head when you start hearing those things?
Oh, man. Probably just the bond and the camaraderie that you have with your teammates. That's the biggest thing. Don't get me wrong. We have the accolades and the awards that we get and the team accomplishments, but when you can work really hard with your teammates, man, your brothers, blood, sweat, and tears out there on the field, you build something that's really special that'll last for a lifetime. And just being a football player is very hard. It's very hard, as you know, but at the same time, the work that you put in, that's why we have so much confidence, because I've been seeing these guys, especially doing spring training, doing summer training, doing fall camp. These guys are working really hard, and Sark is building a culture of smart, tough football players it's going to last for a long time. So I love it when I'm up there mentoring the guys or walking around the locker room. It's a good atmosphere.
It's a natural question I think folks would ask, since you were a Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Jalen Ford should have been named that. Wasn't last year, but he's the preseason Big 12 Defensive Player. Do you see some of yourself into him, or do you? What are your conversations like with Jalen, since he's already been decorated and already off to a good start this final year?
Yeah, Jalen's the type of player that he's not going to settle. You know, he had a really good year last year, kind of surprised some people. This year, he wants to take that next step, and he's all ears and eyes whenever I'm talking to him or wherever coach is talking to him. He wants to learn and just to get better at the end of the day. And Jalen reminds me a lot of myself with just having a knack from being around the ball, just making a play. You know, something happens in the game, and you're like, oh, it's a big play, explosive play on defense. And you say, oh, there goes 41. So he's a guy that's going to be around the ball. He's in the middle of the defense, and I love it, man. I actually, before I got recognized for the Hall of Fame on the field, I was telling CDC, Dale Connie was like, hey, let's go on. I'm like, no, let's wait and let's see what Jalen does right here. And then he gets a one-hand pick, and I'm pumped up. And then they announced me being in the Hall of Fame. So it was a pretty special moment.
I got to ask you, have you taught him the most patented Derrick Johnson move, if you never saw it when he played, is the Popeye punch?
Yep.
The way that he could punch the ball out. I saw you do it against Oklahoma. I saw you do it against Baylor, maybe one or two others. And sometimes you saved your really outstanding performances for the team from your hometown of Waco against Baylor as well. I know some of that.
Absolutely. It's all about, and whenever you want to do something, you have to be intentional about it. So my last year here at the University of Texas, I got 9 forced fumbles, but I worked on it every day in practice. A lot of times, everybody wants to turn on this switch when game time comes. It's about what you do throughout the week, and then it's not that switch. It's just a standard. This is how you play, and it came out on Saturdays, and it looked really good. And I'll tell you what, man, the guys are doing that now. I mean, we have drills where they're punching the ball out. So the ball that's the most important thing. And by doing that in practice, it helps the offense at the same time for ball security. So in all, we're trending up, and we're doing it with the right guy at the head of the table.
You know, DJ, as a coach, one of the highlights is for me getting to go to that Hall of Fame, induction, and I only get invited when one of our guys gets to go. So I get to go this year when you're going. So I'm excited about that. And what a special deal to think you're going to be in that room with some of the best that have ever done it in college football. I can't believe it's taken this long. They finally got it right. Okay, but Bianco told me there's some sort of rule how they do it. But what I'm always curious about as a coach, culturally, what was it like when you were here under Coach Brown? What was the team like? What was that locker room like? How did you guys go about it, man?
That's a great question. Just looking back, because we won a lot of games here, right? And don't get me wrong, Coach Brown, and we had some great coaches around us that built a culture that was going to last. But there's a common denominator at the end of the day. You got to have a couple players that are a little bit better than everybody else, right? And that kind of raise the level of other players around them. And that's what we did when you have guys like Vince Young. You have guys like myself. You have guys like Jammer. I'm going really back, Cedric Benson, and just all these guys, Roy Williams. Other guys raise the level. When you can have guys that on the team, players that make other players accountable, now you have something. Now the coaching is not as hard. It's still hard, but you have other guys that's going to, make sure the other guys are being accountable.
Can you stick around for one more second? I want you to talk about your foundation.
Absolutely.
We'll do that when we continue with Derrick Johnson here from Pluckers, the West Campus location. Here in Austin, we'll continue on the Longhorn Network and the Longhorn Radio Network from Learfield.